RIWC!
Hi, I'm Rob, and welcome back to the RIWC. It's been a while, and not much has gotten done. Here's why. Bottom line is, as I've said in other videos, I run a restaurant, more than full time. So I don't get to spend very much time down here. So, as much as things took off at the beginning, things are starting to slow down. It's also summertime in Wisconsin. There's other things to do. As much as I like my hobby, I actually really love my hobby, there's also other things to balance out. Not only that I like, but that my wife likes. One thing that has changed since I last did a video was that a computer got donated to me. I shouldn't say donated. I was able to do some work for a local group. I was volunteering with them, thought nothing of it, and we were chit-chatting a little later on, and one of them had asked if I wanted anything in return for what I had done over the past while. And I said no. And we were chit-chatting later on, and they were asking about my layout, and I said, what I'm really missing is a computer. Just a tower computer. It can run anything after like Windows 98, like anything XP on, Millennium on, whatever. And they said, well, how good does it have to be? I'm like, well, it needs to turn on, and the operating system has to work. And it took less than 3 minutes, and there was a computer in the back of my truck. Then, once the computer was in the back of my truck, I had to figure out how to put JMRI on it. I ended up doing an offline download onto a flash drive, and then putting the flash drive into this computer and uploading it. This screen isn't very big. This is just one I had lying around. Once things get a little bit more permanent in our basement, we will start moving certain objects around as needed. But right now, we're just off the cube here. If you remember from the previous videos, there's just a little desk here, big enough for this and my laptop, which you can't see, it's off screen right now. So that was the major change, was the addition of this computer. That's also why you see all these cars lying here amongst this other stuff. The other stuff is all for the layout that I've had over the years, or that family has bought me, that I need to go through, especially since now that we moved. The rail cars that are sitting there, also from over the years, but they're ones that will be given metal wheels and upgraded couplers, so that way they will roll better on the layout. Hopefully NMRA approved. I also got to spend a day on the CN TrainBuff's layout. It sounds like this will now be, or that layout will now be the WCCN. So it looks like we'll have a little bit of an overlap between the two layouts. Obviously him being a Wisconsin Central CN Canadian National merger, and me being the Wisconsin Central Rock Island merger. I also have a few assumptions in my layout. For example, the SPSF did merge in my layout, so I have them. And then with that being said, I also have the BN, as if the BN would be around today. Well, for those of you that are aware of layouts, the BN wouldn't be around today because they're part of the BNSF. Well, if the SF and the SP merged, that wouldn't have been the case. I have a whole story written on this. That's going to be for a later time, later video. So I got a couple things to work out as far as how historically accurate it could have been. So I'm not going to give it all away, but there's a little bit of some interesting things to note there as well. But the WCCN, CN TrainBuff, doing very well over there. Their main line's up and running. My lower main line is laid out. It is not soldered to anything. There is no power to it. There is a piece for the PM42s that is not made by Digitrax. It's made by Aculights. I ordered one. It's taking a while. Turns out the guy that does the Aculite stuff is actually, like, this is his little business. It's really just him. And he tore his Achilles. And I totally understand. Like, I'm not even mad. He was just like, dude, I tore my Achilles, it's going to be a little bit. I get it. I'm okay with it. So that should be coming in sometime next week. Then we can start getting power to some things. And although I don't have any yards yet, I just have my main line, I can play choo-choo for a second. So you will find that this layout is very family oriented. For those of you that have watched the previous videos, this is the brothers section. Reason being, my brothers helped me build this layout, all three of them, and this section was one that I really hadn't designed. It was just supposed to continue on. We made a mistake, and it was basically decided that instead of the wood being on the outside here, it was going to be on the inside. A little different, and in the construction world, probably not the best decision. But it's what we decided to do, and it's me and my brothers. At the end of the day, it's my layout. I'll do what I want. So when this idea was posed, I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure. You know what? Heck with it. Let's do it. So we did it. We also have a roundhouse that's being built by my father that has been ordered and is on its way. So that's going to be his contribution to it. My sisters really don't seem to care, which is fine. They don't have to. My hobby, not theirs. But my wife has obviously been involved with this. If she hadn't been, there wouldn't be the Rock Island part of it. This would just basically be a WC layout. But she is a part of it, and continuing with family, shortly after our wedding, her grandfather passed away. And I found out, I shouldn't say found out, but it became more evident than normal that he only drank PBR. So when, after the funeral, we were all going over to one of the uncle's houses to basically have a drink and be with family, everyone drank everything different, and that day they all walked in with PBR and said, this is what we're going to drink. Well, with everything being a nod to family, and, you know, certain family members, a nod to her grandfather had to be in here. We were at the train show in Green Bay this year, and a gentleman was custom painting AccuLite rail cars. So there is our PBR ventilated refrigerator, URLX 3000. I'll be honest, the road number really doesn't mean much. It's more that it's a PBR car. I don't care that it's out of date. He is represented on our layout, and that was the want, that was the goal. So that is where he will be. There are other people in the family that either want to contribute or that we want represented on the layout. We plan to spend years making this layout. So it's not like, hey, what about your other grandparents? Yeah, it's going to be a while. It's okay. This was just very easy and exactly what she wanted. So now we are outside my house and you're looking up at a tree. Question you probably have is, why am I looking at this tree? Well, as said before in previous videos, I am a ham radio operator. And I had originally an antenna about 12 feet off the ground just bolted into a tree. And that's all I needed, or so I thought. There's another ham radio operator just south or east-southeast of me, and we wanted to talk on what's called a simplex frequency. And we were not making contact. Well, one day he's driving home in his truck, he's got a quarter wave on top of the truck, he's talking to me on simplex, and his truck is working fine. He gets into the house, no joy. So he decided he was going to put up another antenna, a new one, a better one, maybe change his feed line. He was going to do some research to see what he wanted to do. My response, after field day this year, was to throw a sandbag over a tree limb and get as high as I could. So I went from 12 feet to about 30. So why are you still looking at a tree? Well, if we zoom in here, you might be hearing a clicking sound. You see a white pipe with a rope attached to it right there. You should see it. There it is, right there. That's about 30 feet in the air. There is an antenna on top of it. However, due to the leaves right now, you cannot see it. by getting that extra more or less 18 feet, we have been able to hear more on the RIWC of the actual railroads in the area. There's one railroad that pretty well dominates the area. We will see if another is on its way. We will see if more than one is on its way. We do have one railroad to our north by one county, and we do not hear that one at all. That one's pretty small, only has a couple miles of track. However, with this, we hear everything in our immediate area, including the locals, so that is pretty awesome. Doesn't really affect the layout itself, but if you want to hear real communications while you're working, this is how we do it. I have said it before on videos, I will say it again. It is probably your most annoying thing to hear me say, but I will say it until I am blue in the face. There is nothing wrong with listening to those frequencies. You can listen all you want. The moment you become a problem is when it is illegal. Listening is not a problem. Do not be part of the issue. Whether it's railroad, police, fire, EMS. There are certain laws that change listening aspects, but that's a whole different topic and a whole different local law, a whole different state law, blah blah blah. I'm not getting into that. As far as railroad and what we're doing here, there is nothing wrong with listening. A lot of you probably think that my wife is the supervisor of the layout. Nope. It's that guy. If he would stay in the camera view. Pongo. Hi, Pongo. Hi, Pongo. Oh, he's had enough. So yeah, basically it's been a little slow here on the RIWC. Just the main line's in, a computer showed up, we barely started working on the computer. We can't do anything with the main line, as we need a computer chip to come in. Not even upset. I highly recommend you actually go to Aculite's website and look into them for your needs as far as digital command control. There isn't a whole lot there, but there are a bunch of little things that will make your life easier. I will take a moment though to tease one of my friends. I highly recommend that you follow and subscribe to Books Custom Models. With that said, he just now updated his page to include the chase of Wisconsin Central 2001, which is the chase that we met on. Anyway, he has used some of my videos in it. You'll also see glimpses of me. Obviously, it's supposed to be about the train, but as he swings the camera, you'll see me in a shot because I can't move my fat butt out of the way quick enough. I highly recommend that now that he finally has that one posted, that go ahead and give that one a watch and a subscribe as well. Also, as long as we're talking about other YouTube channels, you heard me talk about the CN TrainBuff earlier. I recommend you go take a look again. For those of you that are into modular layouts, he just took on a little project aside from the WCCN, and so you can see the beginnings of that layout as well. So that's my recommendations. Have a great time. I told you guys the supervisor's hard at work. Right, Pongo? Yep, working hard.